They were not the wild, lawless savages of later imagination, nor were they the romantic heroes of saga and song alone. Viking society was a precisely layered world, governed by law, reputation, kinship, and an unforgiving sense of honor, where every man and woman knew their place or fought desperately to rise above it. Status was not merely inherited. It was earned, defended, and all too often lost in blood. To understand Viking raids, warfare, and expansion, one must first understand Viking society itself, because every long ship that cut across the sea carried with it not chaos, but a social order as sharp and rigid as the swords at its prow. Viking society between roughly c. 7501-100 was built upon three interlocking pillars: kinship and family law and custom, honor and reputation. There was no centralized Scandinavian state in the early Viking Age. Power flowed upward from households, farms, and clans, rather than downward from kings. A man's identity was inseparable from his lineage. To harm one member of a family was to declare feud against all. Land was the primary source of wealth, but silver, often gained through trade or raiding, increasingly became the currency of power, prestige, and loyalty. Viking society was traditionally divided into three main classes, a structure echoed in the Old Norse poem Rigskula, which mythically explained social hierarchy as divinely ordained. At the bottom stood the thralls, Ryle, enslaved men and women who formed the backbone of Viking labor. Thralls came from captured enemies during raids, victims of debt or punishment, children born into slavery. They worked farms, tended animals, built structures, and served households. Some were sold abroad, particularly to the Islamic world via eastern trade routes, where Scandinavian traders exchanged human cargo for silver. Thralls had no legal standing of their own. They could be beaten, bought, sold, or killed with minimal consequence, though killing another man's thrall required compensation. Yet slavery was not always permanent. Thralls could be freed, and some gained limited status as freedmen, though social stigma lingered for generations. Above the thralls were the carls, free men and women who owned land, weapons, and legal rights. They were farmers, craftsmen, traders, and warriors, the backbone of Viking society. Carls could attend a thing, the assembly where laws were made and disputes settled, bear arms and defend their honor, marry freely, and inherit property. Most Viking warriors came from this class. A carl's wealth was measured in land, livestock, silver, and followers, but his reputation mattered just as much. To be known as cowardly, dishonest, or oath-breaking was social death. Women of the carl class held notable authority within the household. They controlled keys to storerooms, managed estates, arranged marriages, and could demand divorce under specific circumstances, a level of autonomy rare in medieval Europe. At the top stood the Jarls, the aristocracy of Viking society. They commanded land, ships, warriors, and political authority, often ruling over regions or serving as kings in all but name. Jarls maintained power through generosity, gift-giving to followers, military success, strategic marriages, control of legal assemblies. A Jarl who failed to reward loyalty or protect his people quickly lost followers. Leadership was transactional. Loyalty had to be constantly purchased and renewed. Some Jarls eventually became kings, especially as Scandinavia centralized during the late Viking Age, giving rise to royal dynasties in Norway, Denmark, and Sweden. Early Viking kings were not absolute monarchs. A king was a first among equals, dependent on the support of jarls and free farmers. Kings led armies and fleets, presided over major legal assemblies, acted as religious figures in pre-Christian Scandinavia. A weak king could be deposed or ignored. Many Viking Age kings ruled only as long as their luck held. Military failure was often interpreted as loss of divine favor. Despite their violent reputation, Vikings were deeply legalistic. The thing was a cornerstone of society, a public assembly where laws were recited by a law speaker. Disputes were judged, alliances were formed. Justice emphasized compensation over punishment. Crimes such as theft, assault, or even murder could be settled through wergild, a payment determined by the victim's status. Honor was the currency of justice. To accept compensation preserved peace. To refuse it invited feud. Outlaws, those stripped of legal protection, were fair game. Killing an outlaw carried no penalty, making exile often a death sentence. Honor governed everything. A man was expected to defend his family's name, keep oaths, show courage in battle, seek vengeance if wronged. Cowardice, oath-breaking, or public humiliation destroyed status. Many sagas depict men choosing death over dishonor, a reflection of deeply internalized social values. Yet this code applied to women as well. A woman's honor lay in reputation, fertility, loyalty, and household authority. Women often incited feuds, demanded vengeance, and shamed men into action. Social pressure as lethal as any blade. Before Christianization, status was closely tied to religious roles. Chieftains often acted as priests, leading sacrifices blot to the gods Odin, Thor, Frey, and Freya. Favor from the gods was believed to manifest as victory in battle, fertility of land, prosperity, and sons. Christianization altered but did not erase social hierarchy. Kings used the new religion to centralize authority, while traditional elites adapted to survive. Viking society was harsh but not static. A man of low birth could rise through successful raiding, military prowess, strategic loyalty. Accumulation of silver likewise, a noble could fall through disgrace, defeat, or loss of followers. Status was never guaranteed, only maintained. Viking society was not anarchy. It was a system where violence, law, honor, and ambition coexisted in uneasy balance. It produced raiders and settlers, poets and kings, farmers and conquerors. Its values traveled with the longships, reshaping England, Ireland, Normandy, Russia, and beyond. And at its heart lay a brutal truth. In the Viking world, who you were mattered, but what you proved mattered more.